This is going to be on Supreme Court politics. Basically, the Republicans, led by Mitch McConnell, are not going to clear any new Supreme Court justice while Obama's in office. Now, they have to pretty much figure out how they want to go about it. They can go hardcore, which is not to allow even a nomination to be considered whatsoever, which is probably the worst way to go, only because the Democrats will view them as obstructionists, and most of the people in the country will view them the same way, and that could lead to a major change as far as the makeup of the Senate is concerned. Because the argument could be made is that the Republicans came into power and they just basically did not do anything with it. Now, the other train of thought is to let a nomination come in, but basically to turn them down. Now, that's dangerous, because if the president puts up a nomination that they've passed, excuse me, overwhelmingly before and has support within the Senate, and they shoot them down, that's basically going to kill all the blue state Democrats. So I'm going to play this clip for them to break this down for you.
Let me ask you about the politics of this. So the Republican posture when the vacancy occurred right away was there's going to be no action, there's going to be no vote this year. Been over a week now. Is there any sign that there's any give in that posture?
Well, here's the question, Steve, is there's an idea they have to figure out, and that is whether or not they're going to allow for a nominee even to get a hearing within the Senate Judiciary Committee, or they're going to say absolutely no how, no way, you're not even going to get a hearing in that committee, you're not even going to get to move forward in a procedural way. That's the question they're having to answer this week. Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, is expected to talk about this on the floor today. Harry Reid will give a Democratic rebuttal. Tomorrow, McConnell's going to have a meeting with the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Chuck Grassley, and they'll essentially, along with the other Republican members of that committee, figure out whether or not it's good politics to at least allow President Obama's Supreme Court nominee to get a hearing in the committee. The problem for McConnell, though, Steve, is the optics of that, because if the president sends somebody, as is expected, that has already been passed by Republicans before, who is popular within the Republican ranks, and they get a committee hearing that's broadcast live and they do very well, it's very difficult for Republicans to say, oh, but we can't take this person even though they're very qualified. So that's what McConnell has to figure out. All that being said, I've talked to sources on the Republican side. No chance that they'll actually get a nominee seated on the court. McConnell views this as make or break for the Senate Republican majority, and he essentially believes that he has to keep the real conservatives at bay. They're in line here with the party, and it's better to go that route than to throw some cover for those folks in swing states running in New Hampshire, Illinois, etc., Steve.
So McConnell's going to throw, like I said, the blue state Republicans under the bus in order to make it look like he's being strong. Now, they're putting all their eggs in this basket, because if the Democrats win the White House, these guys are dead. And if they, like I said, if the Democrats win the White House, they can basically turn around and with a change over in the Senate, which is what I anticipate. I really believe that the Senate is going to flip back to Democratic. They can put the most liberal or progressive judge in there and get them through. And then with the scenario of 2 additional judges hopefully retiring while still alive, and they get 2 more progressive liberal judges in there, this could keep that court liberal for the next 20 years. There are already 2 liberal judges. Well, actually, there are 3 right now, but with the assumption that Ruth Bader Ginsburg retires since she's 82, that would be a replacement. Kennedy retiring, that would also be a replacement. And I believe Alito is 75, so he probably will be retiring. So you've lost Scalia, Ginsburg will retire, Kennedy will retire, and I believe Alito is the fourth one. He would retire. That would be 4 justices that could be named by Democrats. With the 2 that are already there, that are going to be there for a long time, that would be Kagan and Sotomayor. That would give you a 6-3 majority, and all of those people, hopefully the 4 new ones, would all be somewhere in their 50s. You could keep the Supreme Court liberal for the next 20 to 25 years, hopefully, at least 20. So anyway, we're going to see how this is going to play out. But again, the Republicans, they are definitely not going to allow Obama to name a Supreme Court justice. But they'll be trapped if either Clinton or Bernie Sanders wins the nomination. And it probably will be worse for them because Obama probably would have put somebody up there that was a moderate.